Hey, folks, out of everything I watched, read, and scrolled through today, this seems to be the best story out there. As far as I'm concerned, I was curious about what is going to happen in this Trump case, the one where his immunity and presidential immunity and kicking him off the ballot in several states, mainly Colorado. This is the one that is being heard by the Supreme Court. But I'm waiting on all this stuff to happen. This will make a huge difference in how much further these other four cases, these legal cases against Trump, will be able to proceed. If Trump gets presidential immunity, then it looks like two of the four cases will be, of the four major charges will be squashed, which will kind of throw the cases, I believe, by the wayside. Now, as far as the ballot thing, I have to believe it is 100% unconstitutional to kick somebody off the ballot. I don't care who it is for whatever reason, unless they are literally an insurrectionist, which nobody in this country has been charged with insurrection. Not in my lifetime. Sedition maybe, but no insurrection. But at any rate, I've got an article here I'm going to read to y'all from the Gateway Pundit. Some good information. We've actually got 177 members of Congress out of the 268 joining Ted Cruz and Steve Scalise. So we got 179, almost 180 real Republicans, and that leaves about another 80 rhinos that just hate Trump so bad they couldn't jump on board with this fair election. That tells a heck of a story, folks. You got 80 Republicans between both chambers that couldn't get on board with this. We just want a fair vote. We just want to have choice as to who's on the ticket. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and read you a little bit. Like I said, I got my goggles on. It says, in the Supreme Court of the United States, Donald Trump petitioner versus Norma Anderson, respondent, on writ of certiorari to the Supreme Court of Colorado. My Latin is not that good, folks. I'll be honest with you. Says the brief of the U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, Majority Leader Steve Scalise, and 177 other members of Congress in this brief support a petition for Donald Trump. And the petition is for the case to be heard. Said last month the Supreme Court ruled in a 4-3 decision to keep President Trump off ballot in Colorado for the primary, which basically prevents him from winning the general if several states did that to him. A Colorado High Court has been the only court that ruled this way out of several other states have decided to dismiss it. They considered it, brought it before their court, and then changed their mind in midstream. Says a week later, the Maine Secretary of State ruled that President Trump was ineligible for her state's ballot, but conceded that the U.S. Supreme Court will likely have to interpret the 14th Amendment and its application. So they're not going to kick him off the ballot in Maine either, because of the fact they believe that the Supreme Court will weigh in on it, and that should take precedent. It's actually, the right answer is Trump's not an insurrectionist. This is all a bunch of bullshit, distraction more than anything, I'm sure. So the Supreme Court has agreed to hear oral arguments in the case regarding the implementation of the 14th Amendment in this situation. Yes. The hearing is set for February 8th, coming right on up. It says, breaking Supreme Court of the United States has granted cert of the case in Colorado attempting to remove President Trump from the ballot. They can now deliver the finality of the 14th Amendment for every state to follow. And that's right. It says, in this writ, Trump's legal team argued that the implications of leaving the interpretation of the 14th Amendment to the states, stating Vice President Harris and Biden and their staff advocated for, marched with, and provided material supporting the rioters in the wake of the George Floyd's death in 2020. The BLM riots, everybody remembers them. It says these rioters stormed the White House, injuring police officers and forcing the president and his family and the staff to shelter in a bunker. They also killed people. They took over government buildings. They tried to burn the church. They caused extensive property damage and sought to establish alternative government. They actually had chop zones where they cornered off basically streets as their new nation or whatever it was. Autonomous zones, I guess is the best way to put that. It says if a state officially believes that President Biden or Vice President Harris has aided these efforts, they may eliminate President Biden and Harris from the ballot as well, and all of their past actions can be nullified as veers. Now, that sounds good to me, but I don't think this is going to work at all. And because of the fact they're going to try to do it to Trump, if they're allowed to get away with it to do it to Trump, then I'm sure the Republicans will do the same, and nobody will be on the ticket if that's the way it goes down. This ain't going to work, folks, no matter what. Says the excuse me. Says the petition went on to cite Congressman Maxine Waters, saying that if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out there and you create a crowd. You push back on them. It then mentions that then House Whip Steve Scalise was in fact confronted at a congressional softball game and shot by the attacker. I remember both of those incidents. These Democrats got violent rhetoric. There is no doubt about it. And they try to make us Republicans out to be the enemy of the people. The threat to democracy. No, it's a threat to their socialist agenda is the problem. Now, here is a list. You're welcome to screenshot them if you want. That way you can actually see who all's on the list. I'll leave it here a few seconds, and I'll scroll up. If you want to screenshot them, give you a couple seconds on each. Lee Stefanik. Okay. All right, we got James Comer, of course, top of the list. Seems to be most everybody, with the exception of the handful of rhinos, which is about a third of the 268. That's pretty sad. And they're in alphabetical order. It goes all the way down. Hopefully I'm not going too fast if somebody wants to screenshot. It says not a single member of the Marxist Party put their name on the list. They want to tell you the country who they can run for president. Basically, not a dang Democrat decided they were going to be any part of this petition. All the Democrats are on board with kicking Trump off the ballot, cheating in elections, doing whatever they got to do to keep power. The Democrats love power. Republicans love this country. That's a huge difference, folks. It says, question: which Republicans, members of Congress, refused to sign this brief? It's pretty easy to figure out. We figure out the 180-something names right here. You look at the total amount of 268, and it wouldn't be hard to figure out who the 60, 67, 68, whatever it be, somewhere around between 68 and 80 members that obviously are beyond help. Those are the people that need to be primary. We need to get that list of those 70 or 80 ASAP. It's pretty easy to cross-reference this stuff. You get the full list of the 268, like I said, and you take this 179, do the math. It shouldn't be hard. Mark them off. I'm sure somebody will be doing that before long. We'll start finding out who exactly voted against this whole situation. But at any rate, let me get into a video clip I got for you here.
The matter is, the Colorado Supreme Court has determined that Donald Trump did engage in insurrection and that his actions have disqualified him from being president.
The left is so concerned about losing this election to President Trump. He will win, make no mistake, regardless of what Colorado does and what their Supreme Court decides, that President Trump will win the primary election.
Well, the reactions were flying after that Colorado State Supreme Court ruling this week that says President Trump can't be on the Republican primary ballot there. It's the latest development in a presidential campaign set to be litigated just as much in the courtroom as it is on the campaign trail. Senior national correspondent Terry Moran has more.
2024 is our final battle.
Former President Donald Trump made history this week, but not the kind presidential candidates hope for. In a stunning decision, the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump is ineligible to appear on the state's Republican primary ballot because of his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, culminating in the attack on the Capitol. Trump, the court declared in a split decision, engaged in insurrection and so is barred from becoming president again under the 14th Amendment. The court pointed to Trump's direct and express efforts over several months, exhorting his supporters to march to the Capitol to prevent what he falsely characterized as an alleged fraud.
Now, you got to bear with me, folks. This is ABC News. We got to just kind of look past the lies in order to get to the good meat of the story. But funny enough, this ABC News clip is called Your Voice, Your Vote. How is it your voice and your vote in 2024 if you don't have the choice? How do you have a voice and a vote if you don't have a choice? If they take Trump off the ballot somehow or another, they're going to disenfranchise half of this country, if not more. I don't think it's going to work, but we're going to go ahead and let the mainstream media continue to spin their bullshit. I think it's more distraction than anything for what's really going on behind the scenes. Most likely they're policing this country and trying to figure out a way to take Trump's power away from him before he does become president, like what I was telling you about a couple of days ago, about how they're trying to put up together a military coup to not have to listen to the commander-in-chief. I think that's the type of things they're working on now. Damage control, things they can do to try to neuter his presidency, since they don't think they can stop him from winning at this point.
The Trump campaign vowing to appeal to the Supreme Court.
This was a such a ridiculous decision that I'm not even concerned that the Supreme Court will make the right decision here.
Even Trump's 2024 GOP rivals leapt to his defense and blasted the Colorado court.
We don't need to have judges making these decisions. We need voters to make these decisions.
So that's a very dangerous precedent to say that a partisan court can just take somebody off the ballot.
President Biden sidestepped the legal issue, but not the facts, as the court determined them.
Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection.
Now, I don't believe that shit at all. Now, we're not going to get into this Newsweek or ABC This Week, Your Voice, Your Vote 2024 video. I've had enough of it. I can only take so much from the lying news media. But I just want to let y'all know there is a spin on this whole story. Of course, the truth of the matter is Trump's the victim here of a bunch of maniacal people that are trying to be selfish and find a way to cheat because they can't win in a fair fight, in a fair polling situation where the American people have a choice. And so we got what we have here now. And I do believe the Supreme Court on February 8th will handle up on this probably 7-2, 6-3, maybe even 9-0. It's really hard to say how the Democrats are going to weigh in on this, the Supreme Court justices. Depends on how far left-wing they really are. I don't know so much, but we do have the majority. So, hands down, this case, the ballot case, and most likely the immunity case will both be handled in the right way by the Supreme Court.
Trump has denied wrongdoing in all of the criminal and civil cases, which are set to directly collide with the campaign calendar. And yet, Trump's hardwired connection with the Republican base has made him seem invulnerable. He's leading in the polls, and a sense of disbelief and dread grips some Democrats. For This Week, Terry Moran, ABC News, Washington.
I love that last part, what we have here now. And I do believe the Supreme Court on February 8th will handle up on this probably 7-2, 6-3, maybe even 9-0. 9-0. It's really hard to say how the Democrats are going to weigh in on this, the Supreme Court justices. Depends on how far left-wing they really are. I don't know so much, but we do have the majority, so hands down, this case, the ballot case, and most likely the immunity case will both be handled in the right way by the Supreme Court. Like, subscribe, and share, devoted patriots, and everybody have a great day. Hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.